Imagine a world where the maps on your wall aren't just incomplete, they are a deliberate fabrication. What if the edge of our world isn't a vast open ocean, but a colossal, impenetrable barrier of ice, guarded by an alliance of the world's most powerful militaries? For over 7 decades, a silent consensus has existed among the global elite. While nations go to war over borders, resources, and ideologies, they remain strangely united on one single front: the absolute isolation of Antarctica. There are no commercial flights across it, no independent explorers are allowed to cross it, and if you try to sail too far south, you will be intercepted by warships. Why is the most desolate place on Earth the only one protected by a treaty that never breaks? Today, we are tearing down the curtain of institutional secrecy to reveal the data they don't want you to see. The truth about the ice wall isn't just about geography, it's about who really owns the world we live in. For most, Antarctica is just a continent at the bottom of a globe. But for those who look closer at the archives, it is a legal and physical anomaly that defies the laws of global politics. Why did the Cold War's greatest enemies, the US and the Soviets, suddenly shake hands in 1959 to lock away 5.5 million square miles of land? In this investigation, we are diving into 3 forbidden layers of evidence. First, we will examine the legal lock, the Antarctic Treaty, and the chilling restrictions that keep you from ever seeing the truth with your own eyes. Second, we will analyze the declassified testimony of Admiral Richard Byrd, the man who claimed to find an enchanted continent beyond the pole. And finally, we will expose the technical glitches and satellite composites that suggest the map we've been given is a CGI-layered lie. By the end of this video, you will understand that the ice wall isn't a theory, it's a boundary, and someone is spending billions to make sure you never cross it. In the history of human conflict, treaties are made to be broken. From the Treaty of Versailles to the Geneva Convention, nations have always found ways to circumvent the law for their own gain. Yet, there is one document that stands as the most successful piece of legislation in human history: the Antarctic Treaty of 1959. Signed at the height of the Cold War, it did something unthinkable. It declared that an entire continent, larger than the United States and Mexico combined, would be off limits to military activity, resource extraction, and sovereign claims. Officially, it's for scientific peace. But look at the data. Article 1 strictly prohibits military maneuvers, yet the continent is crawling with military personnel under the guise of logistical support. Article 4 freezes all territorial claims, essentially turning the entire region into a global no man's land. If you want to visit the interior of Antarctica, you don't just buy a ticket. You must submit a DS-4152 form to the State Department years in advance. You must provide a detailed environmental impact statement and prove you have the millions of dollars required for a private rescue. Even then, your path is strictly monitored. Independent explorers who have attempted to sail past the 60th parallel south have been met by naval vessels and forced to turn back under threat of imprisonment. Why is a barren wasteland protected more fiercely than the oil fields of the Middle East or the gold mines of Africa? If there's nothing there but ice, why does every superpower on Earth agree that no one should be allowed to look for themselves? The official story says it's about protecting penguins and glaciers, but the legal framework suggests we are looking at the perimeter of a high-security prison, or perhaps a gateway. But if the treaty is the lock, what exactly is it meant to keep inside? To find that answer, we have to look at the last man who was actually allowed to explore the unknown. In 1947, the United States Navy launched Operation Highjump. On paper, it was a massive training exercise. In reality, it was a full-scale invasion of the Antarctic Circle, involving 4,700 men, 33 aircraft, and an aircraft carrier. Leading this fleet was Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the most decorated explorer in American history. Byrd was no conspiracy theorist. He was a war hero and a technical genius. Yet, when he returned from Highjump, he gave a televised interview to the Longines chronoscope that sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. He stated clearly, there is a land beyond the pole, an enchanted continent in the sky, a permanent mystery. He spoke of vast areas of land that were not covered in ice, rich in resources, and spanning a territory larger than the United States. But here is where the data gets dark. Operation Highjump was scheduled to last 6 months. It was abruptly terminated after only 8 weeks. The official record cites extreme weather, but reports leaked from the crew spoke of heavy losses and unidentified craft that outmaneuvered the Navy's best jets. When Byrd returned, he was silenced. He was placed under permanent supervision, and shortly after his death, the Antarctic Treaty was signed, ensuring no one would ever follow in his footsteps. But Byrd's testimony isn't the only thing that contradicts the official map. Centuries before satellites, ancient cartographers were drawing Antarctica with terrifying precision, but they weren't drawing ice. The Piri Reis map of 1513 and the Oronsfine map of 1531 depict the Antarctic coastline with rivers, mountains, and valleys. Modern seismic sounding in 1958 confirmed that these maps accurately show the subglacial topography, the land under the ice. How could someone in the 1500s know the shape of a landmass that has supposedly been frozen for millions of years? The data suggests that the ice wall hasn't always been there, or perhaps it is a moving barrier that hides a much larger, greener world, a world our modern technology is being programmed to ignore. In the age of Google Earth and GPS, we are led to believe that every inch of our planet has been photographed and indexed. But once you move toward the 71st parallel south, the data begins to fail. If you look at high-resolution satellite imagery of the South Pole, you will notice a recurring theme: composites. NASA's famous blue marble images aren't single photographs. They are data stitched together, a polite way of saying they are CGI recreations based on interpreted data. Why is there no continuous, live, 24/7, high-resolution video feed of the Antarctic Center? We have rovers on Mars sending back live images, yet we cannot get a clear, unedited live stream of the most important geographic point on our own planet. Then there is the no-fly protocol. If you look at global flight paths, you will see a massive void over the Antarctic. Commercial flights from Chile to Australia or South Africa to New Zealand do not fly over the pole to save time. They fly thousands of miles out of their way, hugging the coastlines of the continents. The official excuse is safety and lack of emergency landing strips. But this ignores the fact that modern twin-engine aircraft are ETOPS certified to fly for hours on a single engine. Independent pilots who have attempted to fly south report GPS signal blackouts and magnetic resets. It is as if the very technology we rely on to navigate the world is programmed to shut down when it approaches the perimeter. This isn't a technical glitch. It is a digital fence. By controlling the GPS, the satellite imagery, and the flight paths, institutional gatekeepers can hide an entire world without ever having to build a physical wall. They don't need to hide the ice. They just need to hide what lies beyond it. If the ice wall is the edge of our known world, then space might not be up. It might be further out. This leads us to the ultimate question. Why? Why spend trillions of dollars and 70 years maintaining a lie that spans the entire globe? The ultimate revelation is this: the secrecy isn't about protecting the environment. It is about energy and control. If Admiral Byrd was right, if there is a land beyond the pole that is vast, habitable, and rich in resources, it would mean that the scarcity we are told defines our lives is a lie. We are told the Earth is a closed system, a lonely marble with limited food, limited oil, and limited space. This belief allows institutions to tax us, control us, and keep us in a state of constant competition. If the ice wall is actually a gateway to more land, then the power structure of the world collapses overnight. We aren't living on a planet, we are living in a managed enclosure. The ice wall is the boundary of our cage, and the institutions are simply the zookeepers. The truth is hidden in plain sight, buried under layers of treaties and digital manipulation. But as more independent data emerges, the wall is beginning to crack. We are the first generation with the tools to question the map. If you want to dive deeper into the declassified files of Operation Highjump and see the original maps that NASA tries to debunk, we have compiled a full research dossier in our community archive. The world is much larger than they told you. Don't let them keep you confined to the known map. Subscribe now to join our next deep dive into the secrets the elite are desperate to keep hidden, and click the bell icon so you never miss a revelation.